Next, we have a presentation for Special Districts Administrator Robin Boré.
Shoot for 5 minutes. Good afternoon, board, staff, and the community. I'm Robin Boré with the Special District for the county. Can you flip the slide? So our 2024 accomplishments for wastewater, we began the purchase of the property in Clear Lake, which is going to significantly improve 2 areas of our wastewater system. And I took that to the board, to the council last week on the 16th, and they, with Alan Flores' help, the city manager, I'd like to thank it. The council blessed it, and the purchase will be moving forward. So that will help with the Highlands and the Vallejo locations. We've also redirected a lot of the flow from Meadowview area and sealed and refurbished lift stations 4 and 7. We had 0 spills in November and December despite the significant amount of rainfall we had. So I'd like to thank my staff for all the hard work that they've been doing the last few months. Lynn Prescott's been, he came back as a retired annuitant, and he's been instrumental in a lot of the line cleaning and making sure that we have far fewer spills with the goal to have none. We cleaned over 75,000 feet of wastewater lines. We've awarded the tertiary study for Kelseyville, awarded the full circle study contract, identified and closed an old loan for North Lakeport, which with the Northwest plant, which was $2.4 million that came back into the operations for that plant, which significantly needed that. Awarded the design contract for the purchase of equipment needed for the Northwest dump station, and that is in design, and Southeast and Lakeport will probably be constructed at the same time. Completed the rate studies for North Lakeport and Kelseyville and implemented the rates for the wastewater systems. And for water, we've awarded the design contract for 3 wells, for 1 for Spring Valley and 2 for North Lakeport. We've identified the locations for the test wells and are working feverishly to get those done by June. We've ensured in Spring Valley that PG&E resurfaced the roadways when they came in and did their undergrounding. They resurfaced the roadways, and they will continue to do so as we move into the next encroachment permits for the rest of the undergrounding in our section of the roads. We completed the rate study for Spring Valley, Kelseyville, and we implemented the Kelseyville rates. And then additionally, going through these rates, we identified that there were incorrections, there were incorrect billings happening and on the standby sides, and so we've implemented the base rate plus the standby, which equates to about $91,000 of additional funds for all the districts countywide. The majority of them were in Spring Valley. There were 74 in Spring Valley. Findlay had 11, Kono had 8, Kelseyville had 32, North Lakeport had 79, Soda Bay had 62. The majority of these outside of Spring Valley are vacation houses, so they would pay for 3 months, but yet have the ability to have service for 12 months. So that's something in our current rules and regs and ordinances that they needed to pay. The ones in Spring Valley, a lot of those, they got the entitlements before the rates went up, so that's why they have so many. And district-wide, we've awarded the on-call engineering contracts and moved 15 projects forward. And so with that, we issued the capacity studies for water and wastewater, and those will be folded in, probably won't make it into this CIP that is coming up, but will form a lot of our future projects and our priorities based on capacity needs and ways to improve our system. We've identified our current 5-year program for our capital improvement projects, and we are working on entering that into the new system. Admin and public services and public works and I have all been working on that. We've completed the update of the CMOM coordinator position and filled it, and that's making a huge impact in compliance on the wastewater side. Our staff have attended 5 outreach events, including Halloween and Earth Day and trucks on the track, and 2 career days. And then I wanted to shout out to staff that during the Christmas can drive, they collected 2,655 cans, which apparently was an all-time high. And so that's a good thing. It was a good team building exercise and gives back to the community. And as we move forward for 2025, we want to make sure we're delivering our existing projects and making sure that all of our grant-funded projects are delivered. We have awarded 11 generators and had an additional one that was not installed. So we are working with staff to get those 12 generators installed. Bridge projects in Spring Valley over Wolf Creek. We need to construct the 3 wells, finish the tertiary study, install the 2 dump stations, finish the full circle study, finish the Spring Valley distribution study to see how we can deal with all the pressure that's out there. And upgrade the water treatment plant at Soda Bay. It went down not too long ago. We lost the PLC, and so we're in the process of getting that, getting a new one and getting it reprogrammed and going through all of that. And then we need to update the geyser agreement. We've been working on that. And a couple other things that aren't on here are the streetlights in Clear Lake Oaks and Clear Lakes Park, consolidating those and doing additional annexations. And I said completing the capacity studies for water and wastewater. And some of our matrix, so we had a total active water accounts of 3894, new connections of 7, service requests issued 1,790, and our delinquency rate on water is very low. It's 0.49%, and that's because if they don't pay, they get shut off. So our sewer, we have active accounts of 12,304. We had equivalent 200 equivalent dwelling units, primarily in Clear Lake on the Canocti Gardens project. We had 309 service requests. Our delinquencies are a little higher on the wastewater side. A lot of our residents like to have it just rolled onto their property taxes. So, but still it's less than 5%. And then our sanitary sewer overflow spills, you can see that we had 20 over the last year. 6 of those happened after I arrived. They are relatively small. And so there was, the highest one seems to be about 700 gallons that did not reach surface water. But our goal is to reduce all of that down to 0. And I think that's, and then we have our lighting districts. We have 656 lights that we manage. We've installed 5 new ones, and we have 13 service requests. And so for our matrices next year, I'm going to flip the slide. We want to look at the same matrices that we are presenting here now. We would like to add the CIP project delivery to have some reporting back on what projects we've completed and the status of them. List of what our rate studies that we need to have done, and the amount of grants we've applied for and received. And that concludes so I'll take questions.
Supervisor Spatier.
I'll be brief. I believe you should have this data, the number of miles that have been reviewed of sewer systems. I know you do the camera and whatnot. If that's possible to add in future matrices, that would be greatly appreciated, just so that we can keep up with the knowledge that maintenance is occurring and not decreasing or not happening or things like that.
Yeah, and we did do 75,718 feet of wastewater line cleaning, and usually they are running the camera at the same time, or they clean it and then run it, one of the two.
Thank you.
All right. If there's no other questions, I'll open it up to the public. If there's anyone in the chambers, and I don't see anyone coming up, and how about Zoom? All right. Sterling, if you can unmute and state your name for the record, and we'll give you the 3 minutes.
My name is Sterling. I am here to ask some questions of Robin. I did leave her a message last week requesting the information stating and showing how they have been mischarging Spring Valley standbys for over 12 years and turning around and turning their standbys into regular bills. They're being charged $64 and then plus $12 to not have water going through their meter. I also would like to know how you can increase that after Prop 218 did not pass for Spring Valley. And then I would also like to request the board with special districts for Spring Valley to have more transparency with the community. Also requesting and asking Robin to come to the advisory board meetings. She told me verbatim that they're late at night and she does not basically want to come to them. So I would like to have that clarified also. And please explain to most of the community how she raised the standbys to where they're paying $26 every other month to $76 every other month now. And they don't even use the 12 cubic feet that are in the regular cost, but then are being charged $12 to not have water go through. So as a community, a lot of people would like her to come out and explain this to them. Thank you for your time.
All right.
So I did send out letters to everybody, giving them notice that this was going to happen, and we do have it in our ordinances and our rules and regs, and yes, she did call, and I haven't had time to send that information to her, but it is, I had the attorney's office review it, and our rules clearly state that everybody is charged the base rate, and then there's additional fees. The additional fees for standbys are, usually they're vacant houses, and, they could have a water leak or could require additional services. That kind of stuff is usually why standby fees are added in addition to base rates. And it's not a Prop 218 question because it was done in all the previous ones. And so the fact that this one didn't pass, the old one still stays in effect.
All right. And that was all the questions, I think. I think she asked about the advisory board, but I think you've been out to one before, or? Yeah.
I've been out to one, and I meet regularly with Helen.
Okay. All right. Sterling, we can circle back. Let's keep it really brief.
Yeah, so one of the questions that wasn't really answered is we haven't been charged on the standbys for over 13 years. And all of a sudden, when the 218 didn't pass, she did send out letters, but I don't think people understood them. And now we are requesting as a Spring Valley community for her to come out and explain this and to bring that paperwork that states that she can do this after 12 years. Thank you.
All right. With that, I will close public input. And if you wanted to add anything else to that.
Well, technically under state law, I believe we can go back 3 years for billing errors, and we've decided not to do that, that's really not fair. And so we gave them a 2-month notice that we would be doing this. They also have the ability to relinquish their entitlements, which under our rules, we could technically relinquish their entitlements for them, but I don't want to do that. So we do have a form. We've been working with the attorney's office for them to relinquish if they don't want to pay a standby fee and their base rate. They could relinquish and not pay anything.
All right. Bring it back to the board. Thank you for answering those. Supervisor Sabatier.
And I know I can't use this forever, but you have started your job here. You're learning the processes, you're learning the laws. I appreciate you digging into some of these things so we can help clarify some of the positions that we should have rather than what we've always done. And I also appreciate you saying that you've interacted with our county council to make sure that everything is done correctly. So I just appreciate the explanation. And sometimes we should appreciate the fact that those didn't increase in the past and that there's a good and logical explanation as to why they are the way they are today.
Yeah, I fully believe that it was just a staff error in the billing system, and just it was never caught, and it really only came up when people were complaining about standby accounts.
Yeah.
All right. With that, if there's no other questions, we'll go ahead and close this session or presentation, sorry. And thank you, Administrator Borey.